Marie was born into a poor, barren family that had lost all its status. Since childhood, she had to work hard to help her family live a happy life. Unlike her beautiful sister who looked like a princess, named Anastasia, Marie was considered boyish and was disliked. This morning was no different from the last. Marie had to single-handedly complete a mountain of chores and prepare food for the family. The other 4 family members lived in much more comfort while Marie was left eating leftovers. Her one special talent was reading and solving problems on behalf of her father. At night, Marie looked up at the sky without a single complaint. Because tomorrow was her birthday, surely it would be a wonderful day. The next day, the family held a party, but not for Marie's birthday. It was for her sister Anastasia to be introduced to eligible noble bachelors. Anastasia was surrounded by admiring young men, while Marie was ignored and shunned by her relatives. Heartbroken, she left the gathering, mistakenly thinking she would be the center of attention on her birthday. She wondered why she was so ugly. Just then, a young man from elsewhere approached, asking for directions to the party. Marie gently guided him, and he mistook her for a maid from the Shaderin family. His attendant quickly corrected him, saying the Shaderin household had only one maid, who was already 60 years old. Therefore, this red-haired girl must be one of the 2 daughters of the Shaderin family. Hearing this, the man apologized to Marie for the misunderstanding. Marie immediately recognized his clothing as being from the Republic of Ipsandros and asked about it. The young man confirmed it and said his mother was a traveling performer from Ipsandros. Marie was fascinated by the traditional outfit, surprising the man with her deep interest in Ipsandros culture. Marie shyly explained she had read a lot about it in books and was simply overwhelmed seeing it in person. As they continued talking, they realized they had a natural rapport. Marie shared her fondness for stories from Ipsandros, especially one about a tattered red kitten. Kuros was surprised. He loved that story too and eagerly recounted the tale. A kitten abandoned by its owner journeys with a kind wanderer and grows stronger. Since Marie had messy red hair, she likened herself to that kitten. As she spoke, she suddenly remembered her father's scolding. She shouldn't flaunt her knowledge, so she stopped. Kuros didn't understand why she fell silent since their conversation had been going well. He tried to stop her from leaving. Marie knew this handsome man would soon become her sister's fiancé, so she wept for her own fate. Kuros, thinking he had frightened her, apologized. Looking at her clothes, Kuros asked if she was having a hard time. He wanted to help. Marie smiled through tears and said she simply wasn't beautiful, but had enjoyed their conversation. As she ran off, he caught her by the arm. In his eyes, she was truly beautiful. It was the first time anyone had said that to Marie. Moved, she directed him toward her sister, the star of the evening, and ran to the old shed in the back garden. The words he said were ones she had always longed to hear, and she was content. A month later, their family received a letter from Kairos saying he wanted to marry one of their daughters, Anastasia. Duke Aferia declared that Count Kairos Granado, future duke and extremely wealthy, wanted to marry into their family. He immediately told Marie to write a reply and notify the surrounding nobles and relatives. Anastasia was annoyed to be forced into marriage with someone she didn't even remember meeting. She had heard Count Kairos Granado was eccentric, ill-tempered, and hated women. She didn't want to marry a man like that. Marie reassured her, saying the letter was very sincere. Surely he would treat her kindly. Trying to lift her spirits, Anastasia showed Marie the dresses she had made for her. Anastasia was perhaps the only one in the family who still cared for Marie. The dresses were custom-made and meant to be kept secret from their parents, who would otherwise throw them away. Anastasia encouraged Marie to do what she loved so as not to waste her life. But soon tragedy struck. On her way to meet Kairos Granado, Anastasia died in a tragic accident. As Marie mourned her sister, their cruel mother beat her, wishing Marie had died instead. She blamed Marie for everything. Their father intervened to prevent visible scars, but the mother enjoyed inflicting pain, especially on Marie's face. The father then said Marie would replace Anastasia in the engagement. They had already sold everything to fund the wedding. He instructed Marie to use Kuros's grief to win him over, even if only for one night of comfort. It would be enough. Marie, unable to understand what she had done wrong, obeyed to avoid more abuse. Her father personally escorted her to the Kuros estate, telling her to return immediately if the engagement was canceled. He even called her a failure. Marie, numb and hollow, forced a smile and thanked him. He was irritated and thought again that it would have been better if Marie had died instead. Upon arrival, they were stopped at the gate by guards. The headmaid explained that their letter had only just arrived that morning, so the estate was unprepared. Enraged, the father tried to fight, but was immediately restrained by the maid. Marie knelt to beg forgiveness and asked them to spare her father. As she lowered her veil, the maid was stunned. This was the girl her master loved. Realizing the situation, she ordered a guard to notify the Count immediately and introduced herself as Mio, the head chamberlain. She invited Marie and her father into the estate. Upon hearing the bride's family had arrived, Kuros wanted to send them away. He was still grieving, thinking his beloved had died and didn't want a replacement. Marie was hurt. Kuros regretted not taking the girl with him that night. But when he turned and saw her there, he was stunned. His servants tried to snap him out of his daze. Marie hadn't realized the man she met that night was Kuros. Her father told Kuros about Anastavia's accident and said Marie was there to take her place. Kuros ignored the man and focused on the girl he loved. When her father insulted Marie by comparing her unfavorably to Anastasia, Kuros shot him a glare. Mio reminded him that threatening the bride's father wasn't appropriate. Kuros calmed down and asked to speak privately with Duke of Feria. He told Marie to rest for the night and that he would talk to her later. Marie was served tea from Ipsandros and was thrilled. Mio, who made the tea, was pleased by Marie's praise, thinking she was both delightful and charming. Kuros entered, and Marie apologized for her father's rudeness. He informed her that her father had returned home. He also told her that he would not reclaim the engagement gift he had sent to Anastasia. Then, he gently asked if she was being abused by her family. Marie denied it out of fear, saying her parents were just strict to discipline her. Kuros asked her to call him by name, not titles. He mentioned that the outfit she had worn previously was usually for widows or nuns, which had led to his confusion. Worried she might be considering becoming a nun, he asked her directly. He again asked if she was unhappy living with the Shaderin family. Though she hated her current life, Marie felt guilty betraying her family, so she only said it was because she wasn't beautiful. Kuros was heartbroken by her words, but didn't press further. He asked Mio to take her away. Marie thought she was being dismissed, but Mio was actually taking her for a bath and to change clothes. Kuros's family owned all the land in the area. Marie was brought to a luxurious bath and thought she might have to work there. She guessed a lot of firewood would be needed to heat such a large bath. The bathkeeper, Tunika, introduced herself. She specialized in massage, beauty, and herbal knowledge. Before Marie could react, she was already undressed. Mio told her that if Tunika made her uncomfortable, she could slap her. Marie was then immersed in a hot bath filled with flowers. Tunika wanted to make Marie beautiful, like an ugly caterpillar becoming a butterfly. Later, Marie emerged in a stunning red dress, her hair transformed. Kuros was mesmerized. Marie herself didn't recognize the reflection in the mirror. Unable to contain himself, Kuros summoned his mother to request the wedding be arranged. His mother scrutinized Marie and accused Kuros of being lustful. The marriage decision was up to her, and Kuros pleaded for her serious consideration. She agreed, but said Marie still lacked confidence. She gave Marie a deadline. She had until the wedding to transform completely in order to be worthy of a count's wife. She promised to help, which delighted Kuros. Marie was still confused, but Mio explained that the Duchess had accepted their engagement. From now on, Marie would be the fiancée of Mio's master. Hearing this, Marie was so shocked that she said she couldn't possibly do it. After being rejected by that girl, Kuros fell into deep thought. He was fantasizing when Mio kicked him back to reality. She even reminded him that Lady Marie had already turned down his proposal. The guy buried his head in his arms and cried profusely. And yet Mio rubbed salt in the wound by saying she still couldn't believe her foolish master proposed to the wrong person. Actually, it wasn't entirely his fault. That night was Marie's birthday, but she was sitting alone in the dark. Kuros's life hadn't been easy either. He was the son of a second wife, so he was always oppressed by the first wife, Laura, who was the daughter of a noble family equal to a duke, which gave her considerable power. In contrast, Kuros's mother was just a traveling artist who had become the duke's concubine. One day, Kuros was playing and fell. While crying, Lady Laura came over and gave him a cake. Excited, he ate it without hesitation and praised its taste. Perhaps that's why Laura took a liking to him. When she asked about his hobbies, he listed several things, mostly sweets. Laura shared that same sweet tooth and would often bake to relieve stress. She promised to make more for him next time, which made him happy. Over time, Kairos was chosen as the heir. Since Laura couldn't bear a son, there was no other choice. Though she was furious upon hearing this, she truly cared for Kuros. She made a heartbreaking decision. She poisoned a cake and took her own life. At that time, Kuros was still too young to understand why the woman who had treated him so well would do such a thing. That shock forced him to mature early. Later, Kuros's biological mother became the official wife. But she didn't want that life. She chose to leave the Duke and took Kuros with her. Over time, Kuros learned many things, built his career, and earned the title of Count through his own efforts. Still, he disliked noble gatherings and avoided any talk of marriage. Then one day, invited to such a gathering, he stood alone without speaking to anyone. he had a close friend named Louifon. Both had received an invitation from the Baron of the countryside, Marie's father. Louifon guessed that they were trying to attract a rich bachelor, especially since Baron Shaderan's family was having financial troubles. Marie's birthday party was clearly just a pretext to promote his daughter. Louifon was already engaged, so he suggested Kairos attend the party, mentioning that the Baron's daughter was said to be beautiful. Just then, a few noble women came over offering cakes, reminding Kairos of Lady Laura. He knew these women liked him only for his wealth and status, and deep down, they scorned him because of his different skin color. Louifon thought the same, as Ipsandros was seen by them as a land of savages. Of course, racism was never pleasant, but Kairos couldn't remain single forever. As a count and the sole heir to a duke, he was under immense pressure to marry and produce an heir. Louifon was curious to see what kind of woman could capture Kairos' heart. Kairos looked at the invitation from Baron Shaderan and decided to attend the party. He thought a poor baron's daughter would be easier to manage. If it was a marriage of convenience, he wouldn't have to think too much. That's what he believed until he met the girl with red hair. After talking with Marie, he learned what it meant to love someone sincerely. Wanting to talk to her more, he went to see the Baron and asked about his daughter. The Baron pointed to a blonde girl in a glamorous dress. Kairos mistakenly thought since this was Marie's birthday that she must be Marie. He assumed the girl he met at the gate was Anastasia. He searched the mansion for Anastasia but couldn't find her, so he rushed home and sent a proposal letter to Anastasia. When he received a reply from the Baron's family, he was overjoyed that he would meet the girl he loved again. He carefully prepared everything for the engagement, even making a hugging pillow embroidered with "Anastasia is the love of my life." He thought he was about to find happiness. But that same day, he received terrible news. The carriage carrying the bride had crashed, and Anastasia had died. Kairos was devastated and became a hollow shell of himself. Then he heard the Baron's family had sent another bride in her place, a woman he didn't love. He was furious. But to his surprise, that bride was Marie. Mio told him he was unbelievably foolish, and he also blamed himself for not checking the details more carefully. The result? He got rejected. Mio continued to rub salt in the wound, telling him to face the truth. She even scolded her master for acting like a fool with Marie, sometimes turning away from her, other times saying inappropriate things. He seemed like he was trying to drive her away, which caused misunderstandings. Mio was certain Marie thought she was hated, which was why she refused him. Kairos asked Mio, if he cleared up the misunderstanding, would Marie agree to marry him? Mio wasn't sure, but said if he wanted to change things, he'd have to give it his all. Realizing this, he gathered the courage to tell Marie everything. Meanwhile, Marie was still dwelling on negative thoughts. When she saw Kairos, she quickly apologized, not realizing they were there to apologize to her. Kairos looked at Marie's beautiful face and froze. Mio had to kick him to snap him out of it. What a brutal maid. Kairos explained that he didn't hate her and didn't know she had been forced into this by her family. He truly welcomed her and wanted to marry her. Hearing that, Marie accepted and thanked him, though everything still felt contradictory. They were still confused. Marie explained she was too shocked to believe she'd be married, so she accidentally said no. She also already had a rough understanding of Kairos' situation. She knew he had to marry to inherit the title of duke and had trouble finding a bride, which is why he turned to a poor baron's family like hers. She believed it was a mutually beneficial marriage. Anastasia was beautiful and talented, but sadly, her older sister had died in the accident, so Marie had come as a substitute bride. Marie just hoped that after marriage, Kairos would treat her the way he thought best. Kairos was shocked by her mindset. He admitted that initially he was thinking of marriage for practical reasons, but after that night, everything changed. The proposal letter he wrote wasn't fake. Every word was sincere. Marie misunderstood again, since the letter was addressed to her sister. She said she understood Kairos' feelings for Anastasia and promised to serve him well. The two continued to misunderstand each other, making everything more chaotic. At dinner, Mio suggested they continue talking over the meal. Marie was hungry and embarrassed. She was served delicious food, far beyond anything from her home, while Kairos couldn't eat without clearing up the misunderstanding. Once again, he insisted this was not a marriage of convenience. The proposal letter addressed to Anastasia was a mistake. He had confused her name with her sister's. The girl he loved, the one he met at the gate, was Marie. Marie smiled, feeling honored. But from her tone, Kairos guessed she didn't believe him. She thought he was being kind and trying to comfort her with lies. She told him not to worry about her feelings. Kairos clutched his head, not knowing how to explain. Marie understood that, in nobility, marriage was a duty, and it was the same for Kairos. Their status and backgrounds were vastly different. Surely he would marry someone else later. and she was just a simple country girl, not worthy of him. She thought her only task was to fulfill her father's wish to save the family from debt. Then Kuros looked up and said, "I love you, Marie," which stunned her. He knew that just saying it wouldn't convince her. For now, he only wanted her to agree to marry him, and he would prove it with time and love. He hoped his fiancée would enjoy herself over the next 3 months before their engagement. Marie later said she wanted to go home to inform her father of her success. She also revealed that her father wanted her to sleep with Kuros to comfort him. She wanted to receive new instructions from her father on what to do next. Both Kuros and Mio were furious. Kuros was too shocked to speak and stormed off. After discussing it with her master, Mio forbade Marie from returning to that house. If her family wanted to visit, they would need Kuros' permission. He couldn't accept his fiancée suffering any further. Mio encouraged Marie to be more confident in herself. She was beautiful. That night, Marie slept on a soft bed and was thrilled. Everything felt like a dream, like a fairy tale. And if it was a dream, she didn't want to wake up, because it was a happy dream. The next morning, Marie woke up and planned to chop wood and carry water. The maids came in to greet her, surprising her. Out of habit, she bowed to greet them, leaving Mio speechless. Mio explained that Marie was now Kuros' fiancée, so from now on, the 2 maids, Ilza and Hannah, would take care of her every day. Marie appeared worried because someone like her was being served by 2 maids. Since she wasn't used to it, she felt scared, although this was common in noble circles. She put on a confident smile to greet the 2 maids. However, they looked confused, surprised that a mistress would greet her servants. The 2 had been born into knight families in the royal capital and came here upon the recommendation of the 3rd prince. Hearing that, Marie grew excited and wanted to hear their story. Yet the 2 of them gave Marie the same feeling as her own parents, making her unsure what to say. At that moment, Mio called her to breakfast. Mio laid out a table full of delicious dishes for Marie to choose from. First were 7 kinds of cold cuts: pork, venison, pheasant, and also chicken and duck. Marie said her stomach and appetite were weak, so she couldn't eat it all, but it would be a waste to leave any. Mio didn't press her and told her to just eat what she could, not to worry. When she asked about her fiancé, she was told Kuros was busy. Marie joked that she would share her meal with Mio, but was scolded because servants weren't allowed to eat with their masters. Not wanting to waste any food, Marie tried to eat as much as she could. Luckily, the food was all delicious, and she managed to eat half of it. Still, she reached her limit and couldn't eat anymore, silently apologizing to the chef for wasting such good dishes. After a short rest, they continued their castle tour. The next location was a changing room prepared just for Marie, containing hundreds of dresses for every season. When Mio asked which one she liked, Marie couldn't decide. They were all amazing. So Mio chose one with yellow as the main color. As for the castle, it was built to protect the kingdom's borders, making it more like a massive fortress. From what Marie knew, the Granado family had ties with the royal family. However, after the war, they were granted noble titles and now only ruled their own land, no longer in the line of succession. Because the territory was so vast, behind that door lay a massive mansion. Interestingly, it was designed in the personal style of Duchess Lulu. The first floor had bedrooms and a kitchen for the staff living there. Everything was so wonderful that Marie was enchanted. As she walked, she happened to run into the same gate guard as before and went to greet him. Thomas was shocked that the young lady remembered his name after meeting only once. Marie apologized for her father's rude behavior. Thomas was delighted and introduced himself again. To his surprise, Marie correctly guessed that his name was based on a story from Lu Hop Island, his hometown. He praised her for being so knowledgeable. Just as he moved closer to her, Mio tackled him to the ground, reminding him that Marie was the master's fiancée. Inside, Marie asked whether Kuros did business with other countries, because she noticed items from all over. Mio explained that the master only traded with the Republic of Ipsandros, and the strange items were personal belongings of the staff. In general, many nationalities lived here, forming a multicultural community. Though many criticized this, Kuros continued to hire talented individuals regardless of background, which was why they were all so devoted to him. When Marie asked where Mio was from, Mio shared that she had simply been an abandoned child, not as special as Marie had assumed. Overall, Mio had lived an interesting life and no longer dwelled on the past. She said that when the master was small, she often comforted him to stop his crying. Marie wondered how old Mio really was, since she looked so young. In short, most of the servants here came from poverty, except for Ilza and Hannah, who were deemed worthy to serve Marie. Marie wanted to hear stories from other countries, but didn't want to trouble them, so she followed Mio's arrangements. That evening, Marie was served tea, but she wasn't used to drinking it that way. She asked for milk to be added, surprising the 2 maids. Wouldn't that ruin the tea's flavor? They laughed, finding this drinking style amusing. Marie assumed it was an issue of noble etiquette and didn't realize they were mocking her. She thought they simply disliked milk. That night, she couldn't sleep, wondering whether her fiancé was also busy late into the night. At that very moment, Kyros was thinking of her too, wondering if she was enjoying herself. He had many tasks to handle tomorrow, and felt sad that he hadn't been able to return home yet. A few days later, Marie began getting used to her new life. Each day, she was served plenty of food, especially fresh vegetables. She asked Mio where they were bought, and was told they were harvested from the garden. Johann, the man in charge of growing the produce, could supply the estate daily. Marie asked Mio to take her to the garden, but Mio was busy, so Ilse and Hannah were the only option. Marie saw it as a chance to grow closer to them. At the garden, Marie was amazed. Johann came over to greet her. She saw he was growing tomatoes and made a few comments. Johann was surprised that a lady knew the right season for planting them. Marie said she used to grow vegetables at home. It was cheaper than buying them, and the surplus could be sold. For a poor family like hers, the garden had been a lifeline. However, tending it was difficult because of pests. Johann offered to show her around, which delighted her, but Ilse and Hannah shouted, saying it would dirty her clothes. They added that gardens were for viewing, not walking into. They continued speaking rudely, even to the old gardener. Marie couldn't believe how impolite they were. She could endure their mocking, but Johann didn't deserve that. She wanted to apologize, but hesitated, worried about dirtying the shoes the Count had given her. That night, she couldn't sleep and went outside, running into Kyros, who had just returned from work and hadn't had dinner. They sat down to talk. He said she was getting more beautiful. She replied that she was being spoiled too much, and he teased her. Her heart began racing when Chef Topo and Mio brought food over. Topo didn't seem to like Marie much. Kyros told him to prepare the same dish for Marie. She tasted it and praised it as always delicious. Topo burst into tears, thinking she was lying. She had never finished a single meal he cooked. Turns out he had misunderstood and thought her waste was due to bad cooking. Mio explained that because Marie hadn't expressed her preferences, she always served a large variety for her to choose from. Realizing Marie actually liked his food, Topo felt relieved. Kyros comforted him and was offered dessert in return. Kyros asked if his fiancée had any other concerns. She looked serious before saying that Ilse and Hannah had taken good care of her. Kyros said they had been recommended by a friend of his. Since Marie would be a duchess in the future, he wanted her to be treated appropriately. He told her to inform him if she felt unhappy with them. Marie hesitated, hiding her feelings about the maids. Mio brought in a cake and teapot, but only left the tea. The cake was hers. Knowing Marie loved new things, Kyros introduced a special teapot from Ipsandros. First, you light the bottom section to boil the water. The heat of the water rises upwards, slowly steaming the tea leaves and bringing out their flavor. When the time is right, you pour hot water from the bottom pot into the top pot, then place the pots back in their original position and wait. When the tea is ready, you use the remaining hot water to dilute it to taste, so everyone can adjust it to their preferred strength. Everyone gathers around the pot, waiting for it to brew. Taking the opportunity, Kyros wanted Marie to share about herself. She blushed, unsure what to talk about. Her past held nothing happy except for a childhood game she played with her sister. She suggested playing word chains with Kyros, though she felt it was too childish. He agreed, but suggested they limit the words to things they liked. Kyros started with Marie. Marie followed with words related to Ipsandros. Eventually, she got stuck. There were no more words she liked that started with K. She almost said Kyros, but was too embarrassed and said kiss instead. Kyros teased her. "Were you asking for a kiss?" Marie didn't know how to respond. At that moment, Mio reminded them the tea had dried out. When they drank it, it was bitter and had lost its original aroma. They considered masking the taste with milk or sweets, but Mio said it wasn't necessary. Those two were already sweet enough. Marie always thought of herself as merely a replacement for her older sister, Anastasia, who had passed away. She came here for a political marriage, no more than a mock fiancé, and she couldn't understand why Kyros cared so much about her preferences. While Kyros was deep in thought about Marie, he was startled by Mio's voice. She asked what he thought after seeing Marie again following their 4-day separation. He replied that Marie looked more beautiful and that he loved her even more. Mio said he misunderstood her question. She reminded him, 5 days ago, you said to provide Lady Marie with our utmost hospitality and everything she truly deserves. You did say that, correct?" Kyros confirmed and explained. Her treatment in the Baron's household was clearly wretched. Marie believes herself to be ugly and unworthy of love. So I wanted to give her every luxury she desires, so she can build some confidence. I wanted her to know that she is worthy of that. But Mio countered, No matter how many luxuries you pile before her, Lady Marie will likely avoid them. I'm an abandoned child, but I was lucky to be taken in by Lady Lu Liu. I was elevated to head chamberlain of Granado Castle, far beyond my status, by you, master. For that, I owe you a great debt. That's why I can understand a bit of what Lady Marie feels, what it's like to go from a life of oppression to living in a gleaming castle, and the fear that brings. The sudden appearance of a charming prince, all the dresses and shoes bestowed upon her. She wonders if it's just ephemeral magic that will disappear one day. Kyros assured her, it won't disappear. Marie is beautiful and intelligent. He told Mio, you're a brilliant head chamberlain, and Lu Liu thinks of you as her own daughter. That isn't magic, that's reality. Tomorrow he would have to leave the castle again for business. He wanted Mio to make sure Marie felt comfortable. Mio requested authority over personnel matters, which Kyros granted. Now that she had permission, Mio wanted to act quickly. The next morning, Mio brought a modest breakfast suitable for Marie's appetite. After eating, Marie had tea. Mio joined her. While Marie was dining, she had her work as her server, but she could accompany her for tea. This made Marie very happy because she had been wanting to have tea with Mio for so long. Marie guessed that if Mio was here, Sir Kyros must have left. But Mio said she'd swapped assignments with Ilza and Hannah, who were now attending the master. She believed it was better that way. Marie agreed. Ilza and Hannah would be happier serving true nobility. Topo arrived with his latest culinary experiment, a blancmange made with almond flour and fresh milk. He offered some to Marie and also urged Mio to try it. Marie found it very jiggly and delicious. Topo's food really is the best in the world, she exclaimed. Topo got excited and wanted to make enough for everyone in the castle. Marie told Topo to wait because Ilza and Hannah might not like milk. Mio said she hadn't heard anything about that. Marie explained, when I asked for milk in my tea, they said that was a novel way to drink it, so I assumed they didn't like milk. She asked Topo if he could make it without milk. Topo understood and agreed to try. Mio realized they had mocked Marie, but Marie had simply misunderstood. Then Thomas arrived carrying a box and said he was taking it to Lady Marie's room. Mio asked what was inside. Thomas said it was from her family, the house of Baron Shaderin. Mio grew angry, demanding why he delivered it directly when Kyros had ordered that anything from the Shaderin household must first be approved by her attendants. Thomas said Hannah and Ilza had inspected it and told him to give it to Marie. Thomas accidentally dropped the box, revealing Marie's belongings. There was also a letter from her mother. Congratulations on your engagement. You left behind some essentials for your work in the Count's household. Mio overheard mocking laughter about Marie's items and rushed off to deal with it. Thomas apologized to Marie, fearing he had done something terrible. Mio returned, dragging Ilza and Hannah in front of Marie. Ilza and Hannah were furious. They mocked Mio as just a maid of a poor baron's daughter, whereas they had served Prince Luifan. They even insulted her as an orphan, calling the Countess's mother a courtesan. Mio immediately put them in their place. Then she apologized to Marie for her poor oversight. Marie didn't mind and simply asked, "May I borrow some scissors and thread?" Marie then altered some of her old clothes and visited Johann, surprising him. She reminded him of his promise to walk her around the garden. Johann smiled and took her to plant vegetables. Marie realized something for the first time, what she truly liked. She had always thought she worked for her family's sake, but she realized all the hard work felt easy because she loved growing delicious vegetables. I really do have things I like and want to do, she thought. Johann apologized for disturbing her, but Marie replied, "We're living in the same house. That makes us family, doesn't it?" Johann said, "You say the same things as the master does." Thomas came to inform Marie that the master is leaving, but when she arrived to see him off, he was asleep from staying up all night. More importantly, Mio asked him to return the two maids to Prince Luifan if he passed by the palace that evening. Ilza and Hannah blamed Marie for everything. They mocked her as the daughter of a poor baron and an ugly wench. "It's the Count who will be a laughingstock for pulling the short straw." Kyros woke and asked, "What part of her?" "Try saying that again." "What part of my family, of Marie, do you find ugly? All this talk of noble houses and money, do those belong to you? Are either of you more beautiful than Marie? More honorable? Smarter? Cuter? Are you any of those things? What about you could I possibly love? Please, tell me." His words silenced them. He ordered Thomas to take them away. Marie apologized to Kyros for being the reason people laughed at him. But Kyros replied, "You are beautiful. There's nothing here to laugh at. Your beautiful red hair, set off so well by this green. Your eyes that shine like stars. Your overflowing knowledge and curiosity. Altogether beautiful." Just as he leaned in to kiss her, Mio reminded him that time was up. We can wait another few seconds, but I'm certain that wouldn't suffice. Lord Kuros was headed to the royal palace for a ceremony and would be away for 10 days. When he returned, they would begin formal arrangements for their engagement. Later, Marie received a letter from Prince Louisfon. She wondered if it was a threat, but Mio said, "It's written as an invitation." It read, "Lady Marie Shaderin, I wish to congratulate you upon your betrothal to my old friend Count Kairos Granado. As such, we have planned a special event utilizing our means and efforts. Notice has been spread throughout the royal capital, and the people eagerly await the day. Lady Marie, should you be unable to attend, everything will have been for naught. The people will despair, and their distress shall surely span generations. Please, you simply must attend." Mio commented, "It certainly does sound like a threat." She explained that Louisfon was the third prince and captain of the Royal Knights. He had a very open-hearted personality. The timing of the letter suggested he expected Marie to attend. A few days later, a chariot from the Royal Knights came to escort Marie and Mio. Mio introduced the location as a military fortress for the Kingdom of Dilts, the Royal Knights' stronghold. Marie trembled, fearing she might be executed publicly. Mio told her to calm down. She guessed Prince Louisfon had recommended Ilza and Hannah, and now he wanted to apologize in person. If Prince Louisfon is the host, he likely has some amusing plans in store. Monster scares, a rain of onions, or maybe a pool full of jelly. Marie wondered, just what sort of person is Prince Louisfon? Mio explained that he wasn't a villain. "Since we're here, let's enjoy the fun. It's lively. The world has been at peace for 50 years. This kind of excitement is good entertainment." Marie asked, "First, I should go greet Prince Louisfon, right?" Mio replied, "No, he probably isn't expecting a greeting from you. He might not even be here yet. I don't know what goes on in Prince Louisfon's head, but I'm concerned. Not a single rumor of this event reached Granado Castle. If he issued a gag order before making arrangements, then I have a bad feeling." Suddenly, she spotted a figure. She would go check and told Marie to stay put. She feared Louisfon might have had someone dress as him to lure her away, so he could appear and surprise Marie. She instructed Marie not to move from that spot. After Mio left, a fruit vendor asked Marie not to stand in front of his stall. She saw a sign, "Looking for contestants for an apple peeling contest." Intrigued, Marie wanted to join. The vendor said, "That's unusual. I thought noble girls didn't use knives." Marie wondered, if a noble's wife peels apples, would that make her husband a laughingstock too? The vendor didn't understand, but said, "We have to peel apples before eating them." He touted how delicious his apples were. Approved by the knights. Marie smiled and entered the contest. If she could peel a whole apple within the time limit, she would win a whole box of apples. Suddenly, Louisfon appeared and grabbed her apple, teasing her. The vendor called him "Your Highness," shocking Marie. Mio returned, having captured the fake prince. Louisfon introduced himself as the third prince and captain of the knights, and Kairos' best friend. Marie was then taken on a tour by Prince Louisfon. After a while, he asked if she was hungry and offered to take her to a lavish noble banquet. At the mention of that, Marie looked worried, remembering Ilza and Hannah, and declined. The prince noticed her reaction and assured her that Ilza and Hannah weren't there, so she didn't need to worry. He also sincerely apologized for introducing them to Marie without knowing their personalities. He introduced her to another place, a fencing arena. Since Marie wasn't fond of fighting either, Miao advised her to refuse and not to force herself. Hearing this, Louisfon was shocked because the arena was considered the nobility's finest form of entertainment. To not disappoint Louisfon's enthusiasm, Marie agreed to watch a match. When they arrived at the arena, it was already packed. Since Marie was invited by the prince, their seats were very comfortable. Louisfon shared how he once fell asleep during a music performance last year, and it was Kuros who pinched his cheek to wake him up. Marie felt the prince genuinely cherished Kuros. Mio was glad to talk to someone who appreciated Kuros too. However, watching a fight without food was boring, so Mio went to get something to eat. Down below, a knight in black armor appeared. Louisfon commented on how skilled the knight was and told Marie he had known Kuros for a long time. When they first met, they got into a huge fight. As the son of a duke, Kuros ranked just below the prince at their school. But Kuros didn't care about that, telling Louisfon not to judge others based on status and calling him an idiot. Enraged, Louisfon punched Kuros, who punched back. Remembering that made the prince laugh. Meanwhile, the black-armored knight easily won his match. Louisfon asked Marie, "Don't you feel excited when someone wins?" Usually, girls would cheer loudly, but Marie said she didn't find strength in battle admirable. In fact, she found it scary, like one day a sword might be pointed at her. The prince, now bored, asked why she became Kairos' fiancé. Marie didn't know how to answer. She couldn't admit she was just a substitute for her older sister. At that moment, the final match began. As expected, the black-armored warrior won in just a few moves. Instead of rushing to take the championship cup, he first checked on his opponent. Marie thought that if Kuros were the one fighting, she might have enjoyed the match more. Mio cheerfully revealed that the black-armored knight was actually their master, Kuros. Since she had cared for him since childhood, she recognized him immediately. To confirm her guess, she loudly praised Sir Kuros for being so charming, causing a stir in the arena while they ducked down to avoid being seen. Exposed, Kuros removed his helmet to greet the crowd. Every nobleman in the kingdom was required to learn swordsmanship at least once, so Kuros had trained hard since childhood for self-defense. Hearing that, Marie smiled, which pleased the prince. He told her it was her best expression that day. Later, as they were about to meet Kuros, they saw a line of noble ladies confessing to him. They believed his fiancée had died and thought this was their chance. However, they were all targeting his wealth, calling him savage-blooded. But marrying a duke would elevate their social standing. Furious at their insults, Marie declared she was the one engaged to the count. Mio stepped in to stop the shameless girls. Marie couldn't accept what had just been said. To her, Kuros was kind and always playful with her. Inside the room, Kuros was confronting Louifon about why he arranged for him to join the fencing match. Apparently, Louifon planned it to learn more about the couple's relationship. Just then, Marie entered to congratulate Kuros on his victory, making him think he was hallucinating. Louifon explained that he had invited Marie there, initially hoping she would enjoy the arena, but she showed no emotion. Kuros assumed Marie didn't like violence. He never wanted to force her to live by noble values. Her own priorities were what mattered. Louifon thought Kuros was too smitten with her, but also noticed Marie didn't seem happy about it. He said she was merely a substitute in a political marriage. He asked Marie, "Would you get engaged to just any man?" The question confused Marie. At first, she just wanted to help her family, but over time, she developed feelings for Kuros. Louifon couldn't see that in her expression. Kuros stepped up to defend Marie, demanding that Louifon stop talking. Louifon said he was happy when he heard his best friend was getting married, but it turned out to be a political deal. He called Marie a pawn of her parents. Kuros, angered, questioned if this had been Louifon's true intent from the start. Louifon mocked Kuros for never having beaten him in a duel. "The old you would have punched me," he said. Kuros replied, "You never noticed that I was letting you have the glory." Furious, Louifon drew his sword and charged. Luckily, they restrained themselves, but they still wanted a duel right there in the arena. Kuros said that if he won, Louifon had to apologize to Marie for insulting her. Marie tried to stop Kuros, saying everything Louifon said was true. She couldn't blame anyone for thinking she had sold herself. She admitted she had been foolish to follow her parents' orders, and she couldn't stand seeing Kuros mocked because of her. She apologized for not being worthy of being his wife. Seeing her cry, Kuros comforted her, saying Louifon mocked him because he thought he was in unrequited love. He guessed Louifon couldn't stand seeing his rival brought low. Despite how he seems, he's a passionate man. But whatever his reasons, it doesn't mean he's allowed to disparage you, Marie. I will face him head-on, defeat him, and make him take it all back. Hearing that, Marie thanked him for getting angry on her behalf. She also vowed to make the prince take back his words about her fiancé being a coward. Kuros was delighted, believing her smile would be his good luck charm. Soon, the whole arena erupted when it was announced the prince would duel the champion. The two exchanged taunts, threw down their helmets, and clashed swords. Their skills were evenly matched, though Louifon was faster and disarmed Kuros. Marie panicked and cheered for Kuros not to lose. Motivated by her words, Kuros landed a punch that made Louifon drop his sword. They continued fighting with their fists. Normally, such a duel would be invalid, but since both were nobles, the referee didn't dare interfere. Fueled by love, Kuros delivered a final punch that knocked the prince to the ground. Overjoyed, Marie stood up and cheered, only to realize the entire arena was staring at her. Kuros called her down. He lifted Marie up and used the moment to announce that he and Marie were engaged and would serve the kingdom together with all their hearts, hoping for everyone's support. The crowd was surprised, having never heard of the Saturn family. Marie was embarrassed. This should have been her sister's moment. Kuros hugged her, telling her she was amazing, far more than she believed. No matter what happened, he would always be by her side. The audience roared with cheers for the great duel and congratulated the couple, bringing joy to them both. In the afternoon, Marie returned to the apple stall to complete her apple peeling challenge. The shopkeeper happily agreed, but this time, Kuros snatched the apple. He insisted on joining her. Louifon also showed up to apologize to Marie. Kuros handed the prince an apple to try. Marie then showed both of them how to peel apples quickly. She was skilled at it since she always had to save food to get even a small portion. Luifan asked Kuros, "Are you that happy?" Kuros answered, "Yes, I'm very happy. As long as Marie is by my side, every day is a joy. Even if she doesn't love me now, I believe in time she will. We'll become a real couple. Even if it takes years or decades, I'll make her happy until I die." Marie was moved by those sweet words. Luifan, satisfied, left. Marie called him back, saying she wanted to hear more about her fiancé's good qualities and asked the prince to tell her more about Kairos next time. Luifan apologized for everything, then realized the apple Kuros gave him was fake. It almost broke his teeth. That evening, Mio asked Marie to return with the butler, while she stayed with their master a bit longer. Kuros told Marie that he had never beaten Luifan in fencing before, but thanks to her encouragement, he won this time. Before leaving, Marie kissed him on the cheek and wished him good night. Kuros was stunned for a few seconds, then chased after the carriage to ask about the kiss, but failed. There were 2 months left before her political marriage. Still, Marie hoped that one day she and Kuros could be a true couple, united by love. Meanwhile, Mio looked extremely worried. She had stayed behind to deliver a letter from Marie's family to her master. After reading it, Kuros was furious. Are they really her biological parents? The letter read, "You good for nothing with your hideous red hair, apologize to Anastasia and die." Her mother wrote nothing but horribly abusive words, and her father wanted her to return home to work immediately. Kairos wondered, would parents really tyrannize their own child this much? He ordered Mio to investigate something. A month had passed since the night's festival that had struck like a storm. The weather was lovely. Today seemed like it would be a good day. Butler Wolfgang came to see if Marie was awake, and once again he lost as Marie had risen earlier than him. Tilly, Wolfgang's niece, ran in and hugged Marie. Wolfgang apologized to Marie, saying that Chili was still just an apprentice. Marie told him not to worry. She liked the little girl very much. Mio had other business again today, so Wolfgang was her attendant. He asked what she planned to wear today. Marie chose a blue dress, perfect for the clear, beautiful weather. Silly thought Marie was too cute. Wolfgang said, if the master were to see you, he'd embrace you before even realizing it. Hearing that, Marie blushed. Lately, she felt strange. Whenever she thought of Lord Kairos, her heart beat faster. Silly pulled Marie toward the gate to welcome Kiros home. Tapo saw them and came out to greet Marie as well. He would make her a parfait to share with the master. Johann also arrived to give Marie a bouquet. She thanked him and continued toward the gate with Silly. When Kairos saw Marie, he smiled and asked about the flowers in her hands. She explained that Johann had told her to bring them, and she thought Johann wanted her to give them to him. Kairos said, "They aren't for me. They're an accessory for you, Marie. Though, in a way, they are a present for me as well. You are like a flower personified. I nearly embraced you without even realizing it." Marie's face turned red, and she told him, "Please don't tease me like that." Kairos replied, "I am not teasing you. You have grown even more beautiful." That night, Marie thought she could have dinner with Kairos, but he had already gone out again. The betrothal ceremony was coming together nicely, but she was still nervous because aside from helping her father and what she learned in school, she didn't know much. At times like this, she would read The Tale of the Raggedy Red Cat when she felt anxious. But when she opened it, the pages had fallen out. She asked Butler Wolfgang to help mend the book. He took her to the library, where they unexpectedly met Lady Liu Liu. Liu Liu asked Marie, "What brings you to the library so late?" Marie answered, "My book has fallen to pieces, and I'd like to mend it." She stepped inside and was amazed at the number of books. Liu Liu noticed Marie seemed to like books, just as she did. Liu Liu was there for research, though her spelling in Dilcian was still shaky. Marie saw a letter on the desk and asked, "Isn't there anyone you can ask to write it for you?" Liu Liu said, "Kairos is very busy, so he's asked me to help him." The butler explained, "That is an invitation to attend the betrothal ceremony. It must be written by the couple themselves or someone close to them." Marie asked, "Would it be wrong for me to write them?" Liu Liu was delighted to hear this, and surprisingly, Marie could write the invitations in Ipsian. Wolfgang explained that Lady Marie loved Ipsandrian stories and had come to mend her book. Seeing the Raggedy Red Cat, Liu Liu felt nostalgic. Marie's older sister had read it to her when she was young. She loved that book dearly, and her sister had apparently learned Ipsian from their late grandmother. But Marie's father claimed the grandmother was an eccentric layabout who studied foreign languages, insisting that women didn't need academics, and blaming her solitary, uncharming life on her dabbling in academics. Liu Liu completely disagreed, saying, "A clever woman who knows other languages would be quite the catch for merchants and the nobility." though Ipsian isn't very practical unless you trade with them. Flarian and Shannon are languages usually reserved for barons. Marie said she could also speak those languages, having learned them on her own. Liu Liu was astonished. Marie explained, many tenant farmers on Shadarin lands are immigrants, so knowing foreign languages is essential for proper management. She often handled baronial duties in her father's place. She loved writing letters, though she often wrote on someone else's behalf. It allowed her to converse as an equal. Liu Liu praised her handwriting and said she clearly put her heart into those letters, urging her to sign her own name on the invitation she had written. This moved Marie to tears. Liu Liu continued, "To be honest, I didn't expect much from you. I heard you were a noble daughter from the countryside who hadn't entered society, but you were the first person Kairos ever proposed to. A long time ago, many people helped me too. I thought I'd help you where you might lack. But I take it all back. I'm so happy you'll be my son's wife. I've come to love you. I am an imperfect mother, but I hope we'll get along well." Marie wasn't sad, but for some reason her tears wouldn't stop. She cried like a child. Kairos returned, and Mio greeted him, wanting to speak privately before he met Marie. Mio had finished investigating. Marie was indeed the daughter of the Baron and his wife. The Shadarin family were all blood relatives. There was no record of adoption or remarriage in the royal archives. Kairos thought, then the people who spew these cursed words at her are her actual parents? Mio said, if it were human nature for parents to love their children unconditionally and to protect them through anything, then I would not be here. She handed him a letter from Marie's family, received that morning. It read, "Father on his deathbed. Return at once." Kairos saw it as a threat. Mio was certain that if Marie saw it, she would return home. He wondered, what can I do to protect Marie? And even if I can, keeping her locked in this fortress like a birdcage, would that bring her happiness? Passing his mother's room, he saw her teaching Marie noble etiquette. At first, he thought she was bullying Marie, but Marie looked happy, which confused him. Liu Liu saw him and invited him to practice with Marie for when she would meet royalty and nobility. Kairos told her, I said you don't have to make her do any of this. You and I can handle it at the ceremony. Marie has never been introduced into society. Liu Liu replied, that's why she's practicing. Miss Marie is clever and has an aptitude for this. Her posture is quite nice too. But Kairos just wanted her to dress beautifully and live a happy, peaceful life. Silly urged him to look. Marie's curtsy was very stylish. Kairos admitted she was beautiful when greeting in noble fashion. Liu Liu added, it's not just etiquette. Miss Marie wrote all the thank you letters too. Kairos asked, why are you working her so hard? That makes us no different from the Shadarins. Liu Liu told him, love and overprotectiveness are not the same. Women are not baby birds. Don't trap her in a cage. Give her the chance to fly. Kairos noticed that Marie was smiling the same way as when they first met. She was happy learning these things. Liu Liu suggested they rest and have tea together. Later, Kairos spoke privately with Marie. He handed her the letter from her father, apologizing for reading it, and offered to go with her. But she said she wouldn't return. This surprised him. She said, this is a lie. This is my father's handwriting, but could a man on his deathbed write this? Have other demanding letters arrived? They must have had truly sickening things written in them, and you protected me, didn't you? He apologized for acting without her permission. Marie said, hiring people costs money. I'm sure he has work to foist on me. He doesn't want to see me. My parents hate me, don't they? They yelled at me all the time, not to discipline me. Kairos was shocked. Before, Marie thought such treatment was natural because she thought she wasn't lovable. But now she had grown strong. He suddenly hugged her, then apologized for it. The next morning, as they had tea, Silly complimented Marie's dress, making her happy. Kairos tried the same. Marie, you look adorable. But it only flustered her, as she wasn't used to such words from men. He apologized for making her nervous. Tapo brought a blueberry tart and also praised her dress, making her happy. Kairos wondered why everyone else could make her happy except him. Mio returned, and Marie was glad to see her. But Mio asked permission from Kairos to travel far away. She had someone to see. She told Marie, with the betrothal ceremony near, please take some time to bond privately with the master. Marie promised to do her best. That night, Kairos prepared documents to send to Baron Shadarin and his wife, forbidding them from speaking ill of his wife and listing all of Marie's good qualities. He told Mio, if you see the Baron, clobber him with this. Take the palace carriage too, and at least one attendant. He knew she was strong, but wanted someone with her so she wouldn't need to use that strength. Don't take the villain's role, Mio. Thomas was chosen to go with her. He thought Mio was going to meet her sweetheart, but Marie explained she had received a letter from her younger brother Cedric. "Big sis, come home. Elder sister is already home." Thomas remembered that Marie's elder sister, Anastasia, had died in an accident. Her carriage had fallen from a cliff. But Mio said the truth was different. According to a more detailed investigation, Anastasia had been attacked by bandits on the flatlands, and as they fled along the river, the carriage overturned in muddy, swollen waters after rain. Rescuing anyone who fell in would have been impossible. Thomas wondered, then what is this letter about? According to the news Mio had investigated, Marie's older sister had traveled by carriage hired by the Baron. On a day of heavy rain, her carriage unfortunately became the target of bandits. While she was desperately trying to escape, she slipped and fell straight into the nearby river. Although her body had not yet been found, people believed the chance she was still alive was extremely slim. Thomas wondered why the young lady's younger brother had written that his eldest sister had already returned home. Mio jokingly said that the best way to protect their love was to get rid of that girl, which shocked Thomas. But since Kairos had forbidden Mio from using violent methods, she told Thomas not to worry. Meanwhile, Marie was being tenderly served by the Count after Mio left. Kairos tried putting on a maid's uniform, but it didn't fit him. Just like the other three, he also wanted to become the most reliable servant for her. Though Marie felt shy, she couldn't bring herself to refuse his expectant gaze. So she let him serve her. Kairos skillfully tied Marie's hair, then wanted to help her change clothes, making Marie extremely embarrassed. He was just about to escort her to the changing room when Silly suddenly rushed in and kicked him in the back. She shouted, "Master, you just want to touch Marie, don't you? You lecher!" Hearing the commotion, the butler came in, carrying his granddaughter, and advised the Count to restrain himself a little. "Your enthusiasm is making the young lady feel uncomfortable." The next morning, Kairos went to Marie's room to deliver a letter from Luifan. Apparently, Luifan had prepared a wonderful gift and invited the two of them to the royal capital. "So, will you go out with me? Just the two of us." Marie immediately agreed. They stepped into the bustling marketplace, and Kairos praised his wife, saying she looked adorable in every outfit. He told Marie to call him just Kairos with no title, since he didn't want others to recognize his true identity. After giving his advice, Kairos extended his hand and said that if they got separated, it would waste their date. Marie hesitantly took Kairos's hand. Meanwhile, Mio and Thomas were walking across fertile fields. Thomas was a little surprised since he'd heard that the young lady's territory was very poor. Mio judged that this was a good land, but it was heavily burdened by land taxes. In short, there were many things the Baron's family hadn't done well. Don't be deceived by appearances. When they arrived at Marie's old school, Mio pretended to be an innocent noble girl to dig for information. Realizing they had come to learn about agriculture, the old man told them to go meet the innkeeper's daughter, Karina. She had found work in the royal capital and dropped out of school halfway. Perhaps she could be of help. Following the lead, Mio went to the inn under the guise of a royal detective. She told Karina's mother that her daughter had been involved in a serious case, so they wanted to borrow her student ID for a while. Back in the carriage, Thomas asked if Mio wasn't afraid of arousing suspicion. Mio told him not to worry. The game had only just begun. Before reaching the mansion, she warned him to be careful not to reveal his true identity to anyone. Standing at the mansion gate, the two waited for a long time, but no one came to greet them, so they opened the door themselves. After only a few steps, an old woman blocked their way and asked, "You aren't debt collectors, are you?" Quick-witted, Mio linked arms with Thomas and replied, "I'm Karina. This is my fiancé, Henry. I'm dear Marie's friend, and when we arrived, the gate was open, so we came in. Sorry." She showed the old woman the student ID and explained that she had studied with Marie at the capital. Marie had asked her to stop by her house to pick up some belongings. Mio then asked permission to enter Marie's room. The old woman sighed and led them to Marie's cramped, dark room. They never imagined that Marie had been treated so poorly by her own family. The woman explained, Marie was never good at the basics. Cooking and cleaning took her so long she never really finished, so she started sleeping here. Mio asked, "Why did Marie have to work so hard?" The woman replied, "Because she wasn't the least bit cute. A woman with no prospect of marriage has to work. Compared with Lady Anastasia, she's impertinent and completely unlovable. Her grandmother, Lady Sasha, was the only one who showed her any affection." At that moment, Marie's youngest brother suddenly appeared, calling out her name, thinking Marie had returned. When the Baron came in, Mio continued her role as Marie's close friend from the capital. Hearing that, the Baron scolded the old woman Tanya for being senile. "This is a storage shed, isn't it? It couldn't possibly be my darling Marie's room. I'll show you to the mansion. This is the first time a friend of Marie's has visited us. She's a bookworm, and so shy. Don't you find her a bit gloomy? By the way, what is it that you've come to pick up?" Mio answered. "It's something precious to a girl, so it's a secret. She asked me to look for it." He then led them to a large room. But Mio said, "Are you playing tricks on us too, Baron? This is her sister's room, isn't it? Dear Marie loves to study. It'd be odd if her room didn't have bookshelves in it. Now stop playing silly pranks. You can't trick me." Awkwardly, the Baron replied, "Sorry about that. I really will show you the way this time." He then took them to his study and introduced it as Marie's room. After the Baron left, Mio immediately opened the window to eavesdrop on the next room. It turned out that his wife's room was right beside this one. The Baron returned and said, "My dear guests, I'm so sorry. We're supposed to go out as a family, you see. Can I ask you to leave for today? And when you get back, could you tell Marie something for me? If there's something she wants, she should come back and get it herself." However, Mio replied that Marie seemed too busy. After all, there was only a month left until her betrothal ceremony to the Count. His wife passed by and saw the guests. She was about to prepare tea, but the Baron told her that they were all going out. Hearing this, she returned to her room and continued her conversation with Marie's sister, which shocked Thomas. After bidding farewell to Marie's family, Mio and Thomas secretly snuck back into the mansion. They slipped into the second floor, and Mio demonstrated her lock-picking skills like a thief, surprising Thomas. Entering a room, they discovered a doll identical to Marie's sister. On their way back, Mio concluded that the Count's wife wasn't insane. Perhaps because it resembled Anastasia too much, she treated the doll as her daughter. But the doll's hair was made of real human hair. Not to mention, the dress was an exact match to the outfit worn during the accident. Thomas asked where they could have obtained such things, but Mio had no idea either. The more she thought, the more inconsistencies she found about the accident. Very likely, the carriage driver was hiding some secret he didn't want them to know. Meanwhile, Kairos took his wife to eat Turkish bread, and she loved it. Just as Marie thought, those from the Royal Academy were knowledgeable about many things. When he took her out for ice cream, he laughed until tears came out, realizing how unexpectedly adorable she was. After receiving her ice cream, she fed Kairos a bite, making him tremble nervously. Entering a shop selling goods from various nations, Kairos enthusiastically shared the knowledge he knew. But instead of buying something for herself, Marie wanted to buy a gift for her husband with the money she earned from writing letters and doing translations. However, when she saw the prices, she froze in shock. Some clothes cost up to 200 million. Kairos explained that all the clothes here were unique pieces, hence the high price. He picked one up and asked Marie, "Does this suit me?" Marie glanced at another rack and replied, "I think that one over there suits you better." Hearing that, Kairos bought all the items Marie had pointed out. After paying, he immediately put on a fashion show to entertain his wife. He even bought a school uniform just to tease her. While waiting for Kairos to finish packing, Marie went to look at some nearby jewelry. As she was choosing, a voice made her recall her deceased sister. Turning around, she saw a blonde young man. She politely declined all his offers, but unexpectedly, he grabbed her hand. She cried out for Kairos. Hearing her call for help, Kairos grabbed the blonde man and drove him away. He asked Marie, "In the past, you were often harassed by boys like this, weren't you?" Marie replied, "No. My school was almost all boys, but they never spoke to me more than absolutely necessary. They used to point at me and laugh. I'm ugly, and my hair and clothes are always raggedy." Hearing this, Kairos realized that Baron Shaderin didn't want Marie's charms to be known to anyone, so he trapped her in that disgraceful state. Angrily, Kairos held Marie's hand and declared, "I'm never letting go." While the two were enjoying their happiness, someone was secretly watching them from the shadows. The couple in love continued strolling around town. Marie asked her husband to take her shopping for a few more things as gifts for the people in the castle. Flower seeds for Johann, spices for Tapo to use. Like that, she bought many items for everyone. Since there were too many things, Kairos suggested stopping by the carriage to put some away. Later, the couple went to the handicraft district. There was a shop here that specialized in providing goods for the royal family. Luofan had arranged to meet them here, but when they asked inside, they learned that he was still asleep. Marie was fascinated by the beautiful high-class items displayed. Kairos then left her downstairs while he went to wake Luofan. Since Luofan had a habit of sleeping nude, it wasn't convenient for anyone else to see him. While Marie was looking around, she noticed small gemstone fragments displayed on plates. The seller explained that they were leftover shards from cutting and designing. Still, since they were of high quality, they were put up for sale. Combined with other materials, they could be made into small accessories. Since Kairos was a regular customer, the seller wanted to give Marie as many as she wanted for free. Marie was surprised, but didn't dare accept his generosity. She noticed some emerald green pieces that looked just like her husband's eyes, and she wanted to buy them for him. Though not cheap, she could afford a few as gifts. Finding something she liked, Marie was very pleased. She had never thought of touching gemstones, let alone buying them. Suddenly, a strange man appeared and asked, "Did the beautiful lady already find what she was looking for?" Since she had already encountered a flirt earlier, she was wary. She moved aside and said she was with her fiancé. The man asked if her fiancé was handsome. Marie answered that Kairos was wonderful. The man excitedly asked if they had kissed yet. Innocently, she replied, "We will soon." Kairos overheard everything and was so flustered he got a nosebleed. He looked over and immediately realized that the man was Luafan. The prince greeted them, leaving Marie speechless. After teasing them enough, Luafan got to the main point. He presented a huge red diamond and said it would be their wedding gift. It had long belonged to the royal family, but no one dared wear it. Nowhere else in the world could such a large stone be found. Even Kairos was astonished by its magnificence. This national treasure had once been used to negotiate alliances with other nations. Since they were friends, the prince would let it go for a cheap price of only 80 million euros. He had already gotten approval from the stiff old men in the royal palace. Besides, if a royal wore it, the people might resent it. But as a gift for Count Granado, no one would complain. He also told Marie that her husband's family's wealth had already surpassed that of the royal family. The roads that Kiros's father, the Marquis, had built, along with checkpoints and harbors for collecting taxes from merchants, plus the trading skills of Duchess Lulu and Kiros, were how the Granado family had gained such enormous fortune. Nowadays, even ordinary nobles couldn't guarantee an easy life. Those who couldn't adapt to the times would easily collapse. The clearest proof was Marie's own family. Though it sounded sad, Marie had to admit it was true. Now that she was a member of the Granado family, she definitely had to learn more. Pleased, the prince reduced the price of the diamond to 70 million. Of course, Kairos bought it, since its red color resembled his wife's hair. Marie was touched when her husband praised her beautiful hair. She had always thought it was something despised by others. The deal was sealed, and Luafan said it would take some time to craft the proper ring. Later, riding in the carriage, Marie said she was happy to know her husband had been searching for a gem the same color as her hair. She now understood his feelings more deeply. In return, she gave him a hair ribbon she had secretly bought while shopping for others in the castle. Kairos happily accepted it and asked what she thought. Marie praised him for being handsome and said she wanted to add some gemstones to it. He asked if she liked emeralds. She replied yes, because they were the same color as his eyes. Embarrassed, Marie opened the window for fresh air and suddenly spotted someone with hair like her sister's. She reached out instinctively, but Kairos pulled her back, afraid she might fall. He asked if something was bothering her, but she didn't dare tell him. Instead, she said today was a happy day because she could always hold his hand. They hugged tightly, expressing their feelings. Yet Marie's thoughts wandered. She recalled her sister wanting to switch places with her. It should have been her sister who enjoyed this wealth and glory. Imagining Count Kiros beside her sister filled her with both joy and sorrow. Perhaps she had fallen deeply in love with Kiros. Her fiancé noticed she was hot and quickly ordered the carriage to turn back. In her feverish days, she remembered being sick as a child. Anastasia had always been there to care for her, reading their favorite storybook, The Ragged Red Cat. Every time she heard the story, she felt better. They laughed together until their grandmother pulled Anastasia away, scolding her for wasting time because reading wouldn't cure illness, and her studies were going nowhere. Terrified, both sisters obeyed. Marie was told to forget everything Anastasia had read and focus on her studies. Despite being weak, she had to learn new languages. Their grandmother insisted she was the smartest and needed early training. By age 4, she had to learn Ipsian, and by 6, she had to master Flarian. Separated, both sisters felt the same emptiness. Marie cried for her sister's help, but Anastasia couldn't do anything. When Marie woke up, only Kairos was there. The doctor said she had fainted from fever and exhaustion. They were in a resting chamber of the castle, the closest place, instead of returning to her own room. The maids had taken care of bathing and changing her, and Kairos swore he hadn't peeked. It was almost dawn, meaning she had slept for half a day. Marie worried that her husband had spent the night watching over her. He said he couldn't sleep anyway because he was too worried. Cared for so tenderly, she remembered how Anastasia used to feed her when she was sick. She opened her mouth, asking Kairos to feed her, surprising him. He gave her a few bites, watching her with amusement. Marie explained that she was used to it because her sister always took care of her. After their grandmother passed, the sisters no longer ate together, and that was when their cruel grandmother began treating Marie as if she didn't exist. She was forbidden to eat, but Anastasia often snuck bread to her. Marie thought that if Anastasia were still alive and married to the Count, they would have made a beautiful couple. Seeing her in pain, Kairos wanted to call the doctor, but she stopped him, saying she didn't want to be apart from him even for a moment. He thought she said it out of gratitude, but it was truly from her heart. Every time she looked into his eyes, she loved him even more. She confessed her feelings and said she loved his eyes. She was happy to be with him and finally said, "I love you." Hearing that, Kairos kissed her passionately, then confessed he had loved her since their very first meeting. Marie had always denied such words before, but now she believed them and cried with emotion. Both realized their words came purely from the heart. Kairos rejoiced that his love was returned. He then told the doctor that his wife was feeling better and asked Marie to stay in bed and rest. The way he said it made it sound like they were about to consummate their marriage, which embarrassed her. Kairos hurried to explain he only meant she should rest. Running outside, he tripped and fell. Marie had to go out and check on him. Mio returned and remarked that Master had fallen because he was overly happy about something, which was really foolish. Though Mio had much to say, she needed to take the couple to deal with a more serious matter. It was something Marie had to hear directly, for it concerned Anastasia's life. Thomas and Mio had captured the coachman from that day. His name was Jacob, a man from the Bandeli Islands who had come here years ago to earn money. Kairos asked him if he was the one who killed Anastasia. That question shocked Marie deeply, for she had always believed her sister had died in an accident.